lot going around at the moment about self-regulation being I'm seeing a lot go around the internet at the moment about self-regulation and how it is kind of skipping the emotions, as in everyone's trying to self-regulate, but maybe what's getting missed is the journey in between. I really wanted to talk on this. I find it a really interesting topic. Like anything that blows up on the internet, there's a lot of people talking about the nervous system at the moment, which I find incredibly amazing. But like anything can get pushed too far. And it's really, really important to understand that self-regulation doesn't mean staying regulated for the rest of our life. It doesn't mean that we need to be regulated all the time. Self-regulation, in my opinion, is having the tools and the knowledge and the wisdom to understand when we have been bumped in our autonomic nervous system throughout our day, right? So that we can actually do what we need to do in that moment to make sure that we don't store the moment and push it down for later, so that we can return ourselves back to a present state where we have access to our prefrontal cortex to continue on our day, so that we don't end up in a chronic state of dysfunction or further down the ladder into freeze or fawn. So self-regulation, I feel, is a tool using the polyvagal ladder, but also the emotional guidance system. They work hand in hand so that we have a constant running clock and a toolkit that allows us to witness in every moment of every day where we are sitting, not only on the emotional scale, but also on the polyvagal ladder, right? Our job is not to numb our feelings, right? When you look at the emotional scale and you look at the polyvagal ladder, they are very, very similar. Now, if we fall down into our freeze or fawn state, right, either due to trauma or due to constantly running on the treadmill and not giving ourselves a break, right, what we need to do from there is we actually need to feel emotions like anger or frustration, or even rage, which is actually better than feeling disempowerment, powerlessness, or unworthiness, right? So it's about using the emotional scale to move safely up the ladder to reach for a better feeling emotion, so that we can start to regulate through the autonomic hierarchy back to our ventral state. Talking about self-regulation is, it's not the idea that we need to quickly numb from what we're feeling and try to be regulated. Our job is actually to feel what we need to feel. And that's what's really, really important. The only way that we can actually move up the polyvagal ladder is to feel the emotions as we're going through it. And that's why it's really important to notice in the moment what your body is doing. Everything is body-based. And if you notice certain somatic changes in your body throughout the day, but you're too busy because you've got too much on, what's going to happen is that's going to store for later. And that's when we come and crash on the couch because we're exhausted, right? We don't feel alive the next morning when we wake up, and we go and do it all again. And all this stuff is just storing in our cells and in our fascia and in our connected tissue because our bodies haven't had the opportunity to self-regulate through the day. So self-regulation is knowing the tools to do what we can do when we notice our body is bumped, and take the time in that moment to go, okay, my shoulders just rose up, my breath just moved to my chest, right? I just clenched my fist. And they are all signs that it's up to us to take a moment to go, you know what, was that a lion? Do I actually need to hold that tension? Is it worth my attention? And can I actually bring myself back to a calm state as I move throughout my day? If that information resonated with you, right? If you're sitting here and you're thinking, wow, I don't do the check-ins, then start to actually set a little bit of a timer on your phone, even if it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And every time that notification goes off, take a moment to check in with your body. Thank you, husband. Great book, by the way, and Goodbye Dead Dana. Thanks. To check in with your body and to notice the things that are going on. Check in and just see where your breath is. See what's going on with your shoulders. Check in with your jaw. Make sure that the body is not holding tension. And it's those tiny little somatic moments where you can actually use your exhale to release tension so that we don't actually carry it through our day and land into those chronic states of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. If you want to come along and learn a little bit more about that, the 29th of November at Steps, 11:30 a.m, I've got a workshop that explains how we can recognize what it looks like, sounds like, and feels in the body so that you can use these tools actively in your household with your whole family to create a body that is less tense, less reactive, and less stressed.